Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Todd Coons, and although I don't do a lot of product reviews here, every once in a while I like to talk about some of the gear that I use to do the things that I do, hoping to answer some of the questions that you guys might have. Is like, okay, I like the photos that he's taking, but how does he do it, and what is he using as far as equipment to get it done? So today I'm going to talk about something that I use a great deal, and that is Speedlights. I love Speedlights. They're not the most powerful flashes in the world, but they're super portable, they're convenient, they're lightweight, take them anywhere. And when I switched from Canon to Fuji, I also switched my Speedlights, and I think I've got one of the best Speedlight options out there, especially for the money. So you've seen by the title of this video that the Speedlight I want to talk about is the Godox V1. Here it is right here. I actually bought two of them when I switched over to Fuji. I use these all the time, whether on location, even in the studio, and I'm going to show you a studio shot that I did today. But the reason I got this one, and I think Godox makes a lot of different Speedlights, but the one with the round head was the one that was so appealing to me. I just like that configuration. Do I see a huge difference between the typical rectangular shape of them? I see a little bit of a difference. The output of the flash is just more even. If I'm in an event where I've got it on my camera and I'm, rotating it side to side, whatever I'm doing, I know that round flash is going to be more evenly spread across my scene. So I like that a great deal. Let me back up one little step and just talk about Speedlights in general. If you're not familiar with Speedlights, Speedlights are basically that on-camera flash that most of the, if not all of the camera manufacturers make to go along with their camera system. Canon makes one, Nikon makes them, Sony, they all make a Speedlight of some sort. And typically I have been a person that says, if you shoot Canon, use Canon accessories, whether it's lenses or a Speedlight. I was always kind of under the mindset, if you're a Canon shooter, use Canon. It's going to be the best dedicated flash for that system. Same thing with Nikon or whatever. Now when I switched over to Fuji, for whatever reason, while I was searching for a new system and stuff, I also was looking at lights. And when I found the Godox V1, I was just very much intrigued. Now you've got to buy one that is suited to go with Fuji, or if you're a Nikon shooter, you got to buy the one that is for Nikon. And so far, I've shot a couple of different weddings with it. I've shot portraits with it. I've shot things in the studio, and I have not had any problems that it's not a specific Fuji brand. Now, a couple of the things that appealed to me about the V1 as opposed to going to a specific brand, number one was price. Now, if you're a Canon shooter or a Nikon shooter, like I said, they do make a Speedlight dedicated directly to their camera systems, but the prices are much higher. I looked it up this morning. I think a Canon was just short of $500. The Nikon one was just short of $600. And this Godox V1 was, I think, $259. So it's less than half the price of a Canon or a Nikon Speedlight. That's a really big deal, especially if you're on a budget and, if you want to get more than one of these, you could, I bought two of them for the price of one Canon. Now, the other thing that was a huge thing for me was the fact that the Godox V1 has a battery built into it. Let me show you. It actually comes out like this. It's very snug in there, which is good. It doesn't rattle around. But you're able to take this battery out and charge it. Now it takes a while to charge. I noticed it's a little bit longer than the average battery to charge, but I don't know about you guys, but I was sick and tired of buying AA batteries. Every time I went to a wedding, I had to go out and buy batteries, and if you're anything like me, the day of the wedding you remember, oh my gosh, I'm out of batteries, and I was always constantly running out to get batteries the day of a wedding. So the chargeable battery, super convenient. Love this feature of it. The couple of weddings that I've shot, I ran this all day and I didn't wear it out. So the battery lasts for a good long time. Wasn't an issue at all. Along with these two lights that I bought, I did buy a couple of accessories, and I think they're kind of a must for what I do because I shoot with these things off camera a lot. If I'm at a wedding, for instance, running around a reception, I may put it on my camera like this and shoot. I certainly do that, but I would say probably as equal amount of time that it's on my camera, it's off my camera. So one of the things I needed to buy was this trigger. Now the trigger goes on the camera like this. Again, Godox, specifically for a Fuji, you'd have to get with your camera brand. But then with this trigger, I can remotely trigger these lights, which is fantastic. This, I think, was $60. That's pretty inexpensive compared to other triggers. If you look at the Pro Photo one, it's like $400, I believe. So this accessory was a must. The other thing that I bought to go along with these flashes was a, let me see here, $56 purchase. Comes in this nice little convenient pouch, and it is a bundle of accessories that go along with the flash. Now these accessories are super convenient to use. Let me show you this little grid one. You can see it's like a honeycomb grid. There's little magnets in it. Just pops onto the front of that thing. Good to go. Another thing is a set of barn doors. Again, grid still on there. Put the barn doors, magnet on. So you can stack them as you go. Another part of that accessory kit was, I don't know what you would call that. It's like a little bounce flash kind of deal. And the way it works, put it on top of your camera. This would be like for doing an event, like a wedding reception. Put it on your camera like this. Rather than directly flashing the people, you got this bounce and it's going up into the ceiling. Much softer, much prettier light. I actually turned the Speedlite like that. Rotate this back. That way if I turn the camera vertical, I just have to go up like that and I can maintain the shot. Horizontal, vertical, super, super convenient. On-camera flash is not the most attractive light, certainly, but this makes it soft and fairly pretty for on-camera flash. I mean, it is what it is. So it also comes with a handful of gels. Also comes with a little diffusion dome, which is soften the light even more. It also comes with like a snoot, so if you want to kind of get a beam of light, that's pretty handy. So for $56 is all that accessory kit costs. That was well worth $56. I use this all the time, especially in the studio. It's got a whatever you do with this thing too. So lots of choices with that accessory, completing the whole system really, really well for me. So let's talk real quick about the pros and cons of Speedlights in general. Not necessarily just the V1s, but Speedlights in general. The pros, I think, are they're relatively inexpensive as far as lighting is concerned. You certainly can spend thousands of dollars. Here we're only paying $250 or $300, for the setup. They're lightweight, easy to carry around, super portable. They run on a battery, so you don't have to plug them in. All very, very nice. The drawbacks of Speedlights is they're not super powerful. Depending on what you're wanting to do with your photography, they don't have a lot of power to them. If you're a portrait photographer, you like to shoot at f2, f2.8, even f4 or 5.6, you're probably got enough power. If you're a commercial photographer and you're shooting product and you need f16 or something like that, you're going to have a little bit more trouble getting that kind of power out of a Speedlight. The farther away you are from the subject, the more power you're going to need, and Speedlights sometimes don't cut that either. So as a portrait photographer, if I'm shooting people, I usually have my lights in pretty close. As a product photographer in the studio, as you'll see here with the shoot that I did here this afternoon, I've got my lights in nice and tight. So the power part of it, for the most part, with the things I do, a Speedlight has enough power. Now, I'm not a photographer that loves to shoot wide open necessarily, so I'm usually more in the 5.6, maybe f8 range. I do shoot at f4, and a Speedlight will put out more than enough power for me to do that type of thing. Now, let me throw this into, because I'm talking about the power output of a Speedlight. If you are familiar at all with high-speed sync, the V1s do have high-speed sync, and the beauty of a high-speed sync situation is that you can sync your flash to any shutter speed, which is a really big deal if you're out in bright sunlight. Most cameras have a sync speed of about 200 or 250, and you maybe want to be more like at 1,000 or even 2,000th of a second. However, I'm not a real huge fan of high-speed sync. My experience with it is you lose so much power from the flash by using high-speed sync that it's simply not worth it, especially with a Speedlite, because it doesn't have a lot of power to begin with. I actually read or heard somewhere that you can lose up to 6 stops of power going into that high-speed sync mode. The other drawback that I have consistently had with Speedlites over the year is recycle time. And from what I've seen so far, the Godox V1s are very similar to what I've experienced with my Canon flashes when I had Canon. The recycle time is not super fast. Now, the lower the power setting that you have, the faster the recycle time is going to be. So if you're at full power or even half power, you're not going to see a very fast recycle time. Now, depending on what you're shooting, that might not be a problem. If you're shooting product in the studio, no issues. But if you're photographing kids where you want to be shooting very quickly, or maybe some sort of sporting event, dancing, some type of event where you're trying to rattle off a bunch of shots quickly and you need the flash to keep up with you, I have found that the recycle time on these flashes are not that much better than what I've experienced with flashes in the past. So I alluded to the fact that I did a photo shoot here in the studio this afternoon. Let me show you a little bit about what I was doing with that. Kind of came up with a fun shot. Let me show you that here. Let me give you guys a quick explanation of the whole setup here. Of course, I've got the camera, I've got the flash trigger with the X100V, I've got the subject, I've got the first Speedlite over here in a little softbox. It's like a 2-foot square softbox, something like that. I've got a black seamless, and then on the floor I've got my second Speedlite right here, shining a nice circle on the background to give some separation. And on here I've got the attachments. I've got a gel to warm it up a little bit, and then I've got the grid so that I can control that circle and it's not this big spread of light. And I'll show you that fits on there really, really nicely. I also have the camera on a 10-second timer so that I could hold the white card in front of the camera, because if you notice on this lens, might be hard to see here, it's got a nice silver ring around it, and without that white card to reflect into that, number one, the front of the lens goes a little too dark where the markings are, but that silver ring goes black and I wanted it to light up a little bit better than it was. And the last and final part of the set, which is my true trick and secret for the day, is on a C-stand. I've got this mirror. This mirror is an old mirror off my GMC truck that I replaced with a prettier one, and now it is a fill card reflector in my studio. Now, before I end the video and tell you whether or not I would recommend you get this flash, let me say this, because if you were thinking, hey, the price is half what Canon and Nikon is charging, it must be cheap. I'll tell you, there's nothing about this flash that seems cheap to me. It's solid. It doesn't rattle around at all. It's as solid as any Canon flash I ever owned, and I think I've owned about 3 of those. I used them to death, so I beat them up pretty good. But it doesn't rattle. It doesn't shake. The buttons are solid. There's nothing about this flash that says, hey, I can tell this costs half what Canon and Nikon cost. Now, would I recommend you get this flash? Absolutely. If you don't have a Speedlite, you don't have a Speedlite system, and you want to get into it, this would be a great place to go. The price is right. The quality is there. The quality of light is certainly there. I highly recommend the accessory kit. And that's all I've got today. That's a wrap for this video. You will certainly see me in future videos using these Speedlites all the time, whether it's at a wedding, a portrait, commercial work on location. I use these lights all the time. Love to take them wherever I go, and they have done beautiful work for me at this point. If you have questions, let me know. If you have not subscribed, please do. If you could leave me a thumbs up, I would love that as well. And I will see you guys in the next video. Hopefully we will be outside somewhere because it's got to stop raining sometime, I think. You guys have a great day.